My little brother came back after 10 years. He says he was only gone a day. It's hard to explain what it feels like to grieve someone who's still standing in front of you. 10 years ago, my little brother disappeared without a trace. One minute he was in the backyard, and the next, gone. No clues, no suspects, no body. We searched for months. My parents tore themselves apart over it. Eventually, we buried an empty box. Achati! 2 days ago, he walked through our front door. Achati! Same hoodie, same shoes, same damn face. No older than the day he vanished. He looked surprised to see us crying. He says he just spent the night at a friend's place and forgot to charge his phone. My little brother came back after 10 years. He says he was only gone a day. I've never posted on here before. Hell, I've never written anything like this at all. I'm not looking for attention or advice. I just need to say it somewhere, to get it out of my head before I start second-guessing everything again. 10 years ago, something happened that broke my family. It was the kind of thing you think only happens to other people. Neighbors on the news, headlines and articles you scroll past. Not to you, not to your home. And now, something even stranger has happened. I don't know what this is yet. I don't know what it means. But if anything happens to me, at least there'll be a record of it. We grew up in a small town in Pennsylvania, the kind of place where people still wave at each other from porches, and the only real crime is forgetting to mow your lawn. My little brother Max was 15, smart, funny, into comics and skateboarding. The kind of kid who made friends fast and teachers secretly liked, even when he talked too much in class. The day he disappeared was just ordinary. It was a Saturday in early fall. I was 17, halfway through a part-time shift at the gas station. Max had asked if he could hang out in the backyard after lunch. Said he wanted to build a tree fort with some scrap wood we had lying around. When I got home, Mom was already panicking. She thought he'd gone to a friend's without saying anything, but his phone was still on the porch. His shoes were muddy, left right by the back door, and the wood pile hadn't been touched. Hawa. We called everyone. Neighbors, teachers, his friends. No one had seen him. No one even knew he'd left the house. Fracas. The police were involved by that evening. Dogs, search parties, missing posters, stapled to every tree in town. His face was on the local news for weeks. My parents put up a reward. We checked hospitals, woods, dumpsters. Nothing. Ball black. No signs of a struggle. No leads. No explanation. It was like he'd been erased. The worst part? Bullies. I was the last person to see him. Bully. And I only remember waving at him through the kitchen window, once, quickly, as I left for work. After that, nothing ever felt right again. It was a Thursday afternoon. I was off work, watching something dumb on my laptop when I heard the front door creak open. At first, I thought it was the landlord or a package guy. The house still has that loose lock nobody ever bothered to fix, but then I heard footsteps, familiar ones. Heavy heel, soft toe, like Max used to walk when he'd sneak in late from the skate park. Nuskale. I stood up, heart pounding, and walked to the hallway. Nuskale. And there he was. And he teched us. Same red hoodie, same jeans with the rip on the knee, same backpack slung over one shoulder. His hair was a little longer, but his face hadn't aged a single day. He blinked at me, like I was the weird one. "Hey," he said casually. "My phone died. I stayed at Josh's last night. Sorry I didn't text. Figured you'd be mad." I just stood there, Lord. My throat dried up. I couldn't move. I couldn't breathe. Lord, he looked past me like it was just a normal Thursday. Like nothing had happened. Like he hadn't been gone for 10 goddamn years. Hen Hashir's. I called my mom. Hen Hashir. She got there in 15 minutes, running up the driveway like the house was on fire. The second she saw him, she screamed his name and collapsed into him, sobbing so hard she couldn't stand. My dad showed up 10 minutes later, didn't say a word. Just looked at Max like he was something out of a dream. Or a nightmare. Vexa. Even the neighbors came out. Some just stared. One lady crossed herself. Vex. And Max? He just stood there, awkwardly hugging Mom and asking if he was grounded. We sat him down in the kitchen. He looked annoyed, honestly. Like we were all making a big deal out of nothing. Mom was still crying. Dad couldn't stop pacing. I pulled out my phone, opened the calendar. "Max," I said. "Look at the date." He leaned over, squinting at the screen. "That's not funny." "It's not a joke." He laughed nervously. "Come on, this says it's 2025. That's not even." What, you guys changed the date on your phones just to freak me out? I showed him a news app. Headlines about stuff he didn't recognize, new presidents, tech he didn't understand. I opened the photo gallery, pictures of birthdays, holidays, funerals. Max wasn't in a single one. Okay, so you edited this, he said. Or this is some kind of prank, like a messed up YouTube thing. Then he looked at Mom. Really looked at her. The gray in her hair. The wrinkles around her eyes. The way her hands shook as she tried to smile. His face dropped. Why do you look older? She covered her mouth. Didn't say anything. Max got up and walked to the hallway. Opened the door to his old room. Only it wasn't his room anymore. Fragile. It was Dad's home office now. The posters were gone. The bed was gone. Just a desk, a chair, some bookshelves, beakers. He turned around slowly, like his world had tilted sideways. What is this? He asked. Where's all my stuff? No one answered. For the first few days, we tried to play along. Mom started cooking like she used to. Big breakfasts, warm dinners, Max's old favorites. She even pulled out his childhood quilt from storage, laid it on the guest bed like nothing had changed. Dad pretended to be calm, but he couldn't hide it. I'd catch him staring at Max when he thought no one was watching. Just standing in the hallway, arms crossed, jaw clenched. By the end of the week, he started drinking again. He hadn't touched a drop in 5 years. The house got quiet, not peaceful, tense, like everyone was walking on glass. Conversations got shorter. Eye contact disappeared. Max, on the other hand, seemed fine. Too fine. He joked around, laughed at old memories. But sometimes, the stories didn't line up. At dinner one night, he brought up a birthday party we supposedly had at the lake. Said Dad dropped the cake in the water and everyone laughed for hours. Hettas. But that never happened. Intra-hour. Not to us. I thought maybe I was misremembering. Maybe he was confused. But then he told Mom he missed our dog. Scout. Said she used to sleep in his bed every night. Scout died before Max was even born. Mommy and Sue were at it, he just shrugged. Guess I'm mixing stuff up, he said, smiling. But it didn't feel like a mistake. It felt like he was reciting someone else's life. It started with a scar. One morning, Max came downstairs rubbing his forearm. Right above the wrist, there was a thin, pale scar. Maybe 2 inches long. Looked like it had healed years ago. Where'd you get that? I asked. He glanced at it like he hadn't noticed it before. I don't know, he said. Must have had it forever. But I'd seen his arms a dozen times since he came back. That scar wasn't there yesterday. Later that day he started humming something in the kitchen. A soft, sing-songy tune. The kind little kids hum when they're playing with toys. I asked him what it was. Some old song from preschool, he said. We used to sing it during nap time. I looked it up. The lyrics didn't exist. The melody didn't match anything. Hastall. And then there was the thing with the neighbor's dog. Hastall. It's a lazy golden retriever. Old, friendly, practically a doormat. But when Max walked past their yard, the dog went stiff. Ears flat. Then it started barking like it was being tortured. Full panic mode. Max just kept walking. Didn't even flinch. The next day, a little girl from 2 houses down rode her bike past our porch. She looked up, saw Max through the screen door, and stopped cold. She stared at him like he was on fire. Then she turned and rode off without saying a word. Max watched her go, then looked at me and said, real quiet, "They always see first." I asked him what that meant. He blinked. What? I said, "What did you just say?" Nothing, he said, and walked away. I started keeping my door locked at night. It wasn't something I planned. One night, I just did it. On instinct. The house felt different after dark. Quieter than it used to. Heavy. Like the walls were holding their breath. Heavy. Max was staying in the guest room. First night or two, I'd hear him snoring, or getting up to use the bathroom. Normal stuff. Heavy. Then it changed. A few nights in, I woke up around 3 a.m. to this soft, broken whispering coming from the hallway. At first I thought he was on the phone, but the closer I listened, the more it sounded wrong. Like he wasn't talking to someone. He was repeating something. Same words, over and over. Like a chant. Too quiet to make out. I got up, opened my door just a crack, and peeked down the hall. Max was standing at the window, completely still, just staring into the dark. His breath was fogging up the glass, like he'd been there a while. Every now and then, he'd whisper something, like he was answering someone on the other side. I didn't sleep after that. Whack. 2 nights later, I woke up, and his door was wide open. The bed was empty. His shoes were gone. Prite Winsop, I checked the whole house. Backyard. Basement. Nothing. Toeswork. I even called Mom. She came over, and we drove the streets for hours. Frey was Fershit. At sunrise, he walked through the front door. Kid Lias. Barefoot. Calm. No explanation. Bathroom window was stuck, he said casually. Went out for air, I guess. You guys seriously freaked out? We told him he'd been gone for 4 hours. He laughed like we were crazy. I stopped sleeping. Corn almond. Couldn't eat. Couldn't focus. Every time Max smiled at me, it felt like I was being studied. Corn almond. So I started digging. Corn almond. First, I went to a psychiatrist. Not for Max. For me. Told him I was having stress-related hallucinations. Paranoia. He gave me pills. Told me to stay offline and avoid caffeine. I threw the bottle in the trash the moment I got home. Then I tried a church. Not for religion, just to talk to someone who wouldn't look at me like I was insane. The pastor listened, nodded politely, but when I mentioned Max's disappearance in return, his eyes changed. Just slightly. Like he'd heard something similar before, but didn't want to admit it. I pushed. Asked if anything weird had ever happened in town. He hesitated. Then said, "There are things we don't talk about, because talking makes them real." After that, I went full rabbit hole. Old newspapers, town archives, Facebook posts from years ago. Anything. That's when I found it. The day Max disappeared, 10 years ago, 2 other kids vanished within a 50-mile radius. Both 15. Different towns. Different circumstances. One just didn't come home from school. The other went missing on a camping trip. Hey, 10-10, only one of them came back. War. His name was Daniel Reyes. Showed up at his parents' doorstep in 2019, 5 years after vanishing. Said he'd only been gone a day. Identical story. He was interviewed by local news once. Just once. He said he remembered walking into fog, and then waking up on the side of the road. He smiled during the interview. The whole time. Even when they asked what happened. In Zalteni, he died 2 weeks later. Kitty Manimation. They said it was a seizure. In Zalteni. But the expression on his face, in the autopsy photo I found, Kitty Manimay Raxon. He was still smiling. Kitty Manimay Raxon. Penny May Raxon. Pity Many May Raxon. Pity Many May Raxon. He was still smiling. Pity Many May Raxon. It's not just how he talks, it's how he moves. Sometimes I'll catch him standing in the hallway, facing the wrong way, just staring at the wall. For minutes. Completely still. Casteria. Other times he blinks too slow, like a second too long, like he forgets how. Casteria. Last week I set up an old baby monitor in his room. Dumb idea, I know, but I had to know what he was doing at night. I told him it was to help Mom sleep better. He didn't even ask questions, just smiled and said, "Sure." The first night I watched the feed, nothing happened. Just quiet breathing and soft rustling as he turned in bed. Heh, tupa. The second night, he sat up around 2:17 a.m. and stayed like that for almost 20 minutes. Perfectly straight. Unmoving. Then, without warning, he turned and looked right at the camera. Fian. The feed went black. Hian. I checked the cord, it was still plugged in. Sako. He didn't mention it the next day. Acted normal. Asked if we had cereal. Yesterday, I saw him looking at himself in the bathroom mirror. Not fixing his hair, not brushing his teeth. Just looking. But here's the thing. I walked past the bathroom, saw him from the hallway, and he was smiling. Wide. Too wide. But when I looked at the mirror, his reflection wasn't smiling at all. It was staring straight back at me. Expressionless. Cold. Watching. It was just the two of us that night. Coma size. Mom had gone to stay with her sister for the weekend. Dad was working late, but I knew that meant the bar. Max and I were in the living room. The TV was on, but neither of us was watching it. He was scrolling through an old comic book like it was the most normal thing in the world. I couldn't take it anymore. I muted the TV. He didn't look up. "Max," I said. My voice came out dry. "Can I ask you something?" He flipped a page. "Sure." I stared at him. Tried to find anything familiar in his face. Something real. Something human. "Who are you?" He stopped flipping. Slowly. He raised his eyes to meet mine. "What?" "You heard me," I said. "I want the truth. You're not my brother. I don't know what you are. But you're not him." He tilted his head like a confused puppy. "Of course I'm your brother," he said softly. What a weird thing to ask. I didn't answer. I just watched. And then, for just a second, his face twitched. Not like a normal twitch. No, like something underneath was trying to adjust. Like a glitch. And then he smiled. Wide. Wrong, too many teeth. Poing hokok. Like he was trying to imitate a smile, but had never actually done it before. "Is that what you really think?" he said, voice just a little too low. "After all this time?" He kept smiling as I stood up and walked out of the room. "Hey." I locked my door that night and shoved a chair under the handle. "Hey." He didn't knock. "Hey." But I could hear him breathing outside. I waited until morning. Dill. He was eating cereal at the kitchen table, humming that same weird tune I still couldn't find anywhere online. I told him I was taking him to the doctor. Just a checkup. Nothing serious. He nodded, smiled, said, "Sure, big bro." I drove, but not to any clinic. I kept going. Past town limits. Past the gas station. Onto the old highway nobody uses anymore. The farther we got, the quieter he got. Like something in him was listening. Gake. 20 miles out, I pulled over near the woods. "Get out," I said. He looked at me, dead calm. "What?" "Get out," he laughed. "You serious?" I got out first. Opened his door. Pulled him by the arm, and he let me. Didn't fight. Didn't scream. Just stared. "You don't belong here," I said. "I don't know what you are, but you're not him." Still no reaction. "Ni mester." I got back in the car, slammed the door, drove away without looking back. "You mester." Didn't breathe until I hit the county line. Jack. I stayed with a friend that night. Told them it was a family thing. Didn't sleep. Tack. Next morning, I drove home. Jack. Max was in the kitchen. Same hoodie, same bowl of cereal. Same hum. He looked up and said, "You left the door unlocked." That night, I tried to leave town. Took the back roads. Avoided the highway. Just kept driving. Somewhere past exit 14, the fog rolled in. Thick. Blinding. The GPS stopped working. My phone died. Battery was at 60% 5 minutes before. When the fog cleared, I was back at my driveway. Max was sitting on the porch swing, smiling. I don't know how long it's been. Knock and mull. Time doesn't move right anymore. Days blur. Nights stretch. I sleep in short bursts, with the lights on and furniture against the door. Knock and mull. Max, or what calls itself Max, still lives here, eats my food, laughs at my jokes, watches old movies with me like nothing's wrong. But I see it now. The way he watches me when he thinks I'm not looking, Julanjo. The way his reflection sometimes doesn't blink, Julanjo. The way electronics short out when he walks past. Sast. Yuchast. And the way the walls hum at night, like something is waiting. New wasn't the one who returned. New was the one who came first. A scout. A placeholder. A key. And whatever's behind that door is ready. I thought I was crazy. Until tonight. About an hour ago, the lights flickered. Then the whole house went still. Even Max froze, just for a second, like a glitch in a program. And then, a knock at the door. 3 soft taps, followed by a voice I hadn't heard in 10 years. A voice that cracked and shook, but was his. Hey, finally found my phone. Thought you'd be worried. Can I come in? Max, the thing pretending to be Max, turned to look at the front door, then looked at me, and smiled. If you're reading this, don't open your door. I don't care who's outside. I don't care if it's your brother, your sister, your kid, or your own damn voice. If they knock and they sound just a little too calm. If they say something that feels off, like a memory you can't place, don't answer. They get in when you believe they're real. I made that mistake once. I won't make it again. Thank you for watching to the end. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a comment and like it. It will help us grow. Until next time in the next video, bye.